I decided to judge the effectiveness of one teaching method in particular that caught my attention, and it was the TPR, or total physical response. For that purpose, I ordered my little nephew to stand up, and I repeated it twice. He knew I was saying something in English, but at that time, he couldn't understand what I was saying. Later on, I decided to do the same, but this time adding a physical action. So I said, Tomás, stand up, stand up. And he immediately got it and told me, ah, that means pararse. So yeah, I congratulated him because he was right. Then I tried out new commands, and I even invented a new word to make sure this method actually works. And guess what? It works. So today I'm going to talk about the total physical response. But first, I'm going to provide a brief definition. Second, I will show you some advantages and disadvantages of using it. And third, I'm going to share with you some activities that you can use in a classroom set. So let's get started. What is total physical response? Well, it is a language teaching method developed by the psychologist James Ussher that, according to Richards and Rogers 2001, is based on the coordination of speech and physical movement. In TPR, teachers give commands to the students in the target language and demonstrate an action. So, learners listen and respond physically to those commands. For instance, the teacher says, raise your hand, or stand up, sit down, while performing the action to elicit a physical response on the part of the learners. So, as you can see, this is a method that uses lots of gestures and body language as a means of making input comprehensible, without the necessity of translating what we're saying. Actually, Ussher claims that this is the way that young children acquire the first language, and he feels that others can learn a foreign language in the same way, following a natural language learning sequence, that is to say, developing listening comprehension before speaking, right? Which is achieved through the associations with physical movements. As you can see, in this method, verbal responses are not necessary at first, as it is believed that students will eventually venture to speak once they feel comfortable to do so. Okay? Now, let's refer to the second point. What are some advantages and disadvantages of using it? Well, on the one hand, there are 4 advantages that are worth mentioning. The first one is stress. It is stress-free, as the students learn another language through games without hitting the books, right? And even better, grammar is learned inductively. Besides, it is an undemanding method in terms of linguistic production, as the student just have to physically respond to a specific stimulus, right? At least at first. Second, it doesn't require a great deal of preparation on the part of the teacher. And third, there is no age barrier, as it is for students of all ages, including adults. And finally, the fourth advantage is that it appeals to a number of learning styles. For instance, it is suitable for kinesthetic learners who learn best through physical activities. Besides, TPR appeals to visual children who are good at remembering things they see, right? Furthermore, when TPR is followed by songs, auditory learners will particularly benefit from the songs in which the words and the rhythm are associated with movements. So, by using the TPR, we are targeting all those 3 kinds of learners. On the other hand, there are 3 disadvantages. And although the TPR method has been successful in teaching a foreign language, it has some shortcomings, which cannot be overlooked. The first one is that, according to Harmer 2001, critics of TPR think that this kind of teaching may only be appropriate for beginners learners, and question whether this is useful in real life. Second, it is limited as not everything can be explained with this method. But for that reason, Ussher himself says that it should be included together with other methods. And third, it might be considered childish for some adult learners. Okay, but On balance, I would say that despite all the disadvantages, it is still an amazing method that you must incorporate in your lessons. Okay, now I'm going to refer to the third point, which is the activities. Yeah. Well, the TPR can easily be used in an everyday classroom routine. For instance, it can be useful for teaching classroom language, body vocabulary, prepositions, or language for directions by using imperative tricks, which must be accompanied by motor activity as a way to increase the possibilities of successful recall. A popular game is Simon Says, which can be adapted to teach body words, action words, and objects that the student can actually touch. For instance, you can play the role of Simon and come up with commands that your student have to perform. So you can say, Simon says, touch your head. Or Simon says, jump, jump. So you will have all your students jumping or touching their head. Also, storytelling and action songs can also be a great idea to include in your lessons. You just have to dance along or narrate your story, adding movements. Another activity which is even more surprisingly, you can also use Zumba to lead the class into aerobic routines that incorporate vocabulary lessons. You can use this as an exercise to tie together different lessons on directions. For instance, you play the song and ask your students to move to the right and then move to the left. And I bet that your students will have so much fun that they will forget that they are still in a language class. So, as a conclusion, Azure methods can be summarized as follows. 1. Language is acquired in a particular sequence and mode. Listening before speaking, and the language must be synchronized with body movements. For that reason, the teacher has to provide the best exposure to language so that the learner can internalize the basic rules of the target language, as well as children do when they learn their mother tongue. Second, children learn language through a motor movement, which is a right hemisphere activity that should precede left brain language processing. And third, stress, which is an affective filter, intervenes with learning. So, the lower the stress, the greater the learning. So, on balance, I can say that you can make learning memorable by linking speech with physical movement. The rest is up to your creativity. Thank you.